to it. You know, I made a mistake. I swallowed my medicine. It was yucky, but I learned, and I will get better. I don't have an issue like receipt. Well, I mean, no one's gonna like getting dabs, but if I make a mistake, in this case today I did, with Carl Pred's DNA, which I've received a dab for. You know, I take it and I move on, go back out there and do our job. But I think the main thing I want to get here is you guys are gonna constantly hear complaints, whether I be goody two shoes or not, because I am a stickler for the lesser crimes. And the people.
But why do you think that we would get complaints if you were a goody two shoes?
Because the charges that I look for and the charges that I push people don't like it. Most of the people, go look through my reports. The people that I go through are usually first-time felons. They're about to get their driver's license suspended. They do something really stupid and they've never been caught. It's usually a lot of first-timers because a lot of people don't give out tickets and a lot of people are just petty. And the people I do pull over are usually people that either have a clean record or are just high egotistical people. I'm running into the worst luck. And I do pump out more reports and more incidences than many other officers. I tend to have more interactions with more people and more arrests. So therefore, I'm going to get more complaints. If you combine all the arrests and all the incidences I've made, my complaint report is at 10%.
That's still pretty high.
It's still high, but like it sounds a lot not as bad because that means 90% of my reports, my incidences have been complaint free. So you also got yeah, I'm gonna accumulate like a lot of incidences, but I'm genuinely just interacting with more people. I'm making more arrests. I'm handing out more tickets.
Croc, you've been on duty 11 days this month.
Yes,
I think
sir.
11 or 12, and you have in total for like incidents where someone has complained, you're at 10.
Right.
10 complaints in 11 days.
Yeah, but in that same time, I've made 50 reports. I counted it. I've made 50 reports. So it's more like 20%.
But you don't think that's problematic if you're getting a complaint a day? Or close to?
50 reports in 11 days out of a whole month?
I'm talking about how many... I'm not talking about your total number of reports. I'm talking about the amount of complaints.
It's a lot of complaints, but look, the Saints one, I don't recall. The Marlowe one, he's a Karen. Is there a third? Like the three incidences that we have here is the PSJ walking, Marlowe being a Karen, and the Saints holding down their block. And other than unprofessionalism, only thing I've been told is I haven't broken any SOPs. Besides the unprofessionalism.
Okay. If you want to cut straight to the chase, Croc, I think the issue that a lot of Shift 2 is having with yourself, like you said, you are a fantastic officer. The charges you push, you can articulate. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
The issue that I think a lot of Shift 2 is having is your antagonistic behavior, which you said yourself, and kind of that lack of empathy. Like you are by the book so much that I personally feel like you do not see like any sort of empathy.
I do have empathy.
See people as human.
I've actually had two people go through the STD program, the Siobhan Thoroughbred division. They had a first felony, and every time I've reverted the felony. They go through the city's stuff, and I've never denied an STD. The city has since removed that. And there have been times where criminals, like you're always going to get the reports for where I push charges on people. You're never going to hear when I drop charges. And I have dropped charges. Usually lawyers come in.
I've seen you drop charges, Croc.
Yeah, you've seen me drop charges. I do have empathy for people. The last two arrests I actually dropped charges for empathy because they worked with police. And a lot of the times, people, if I give them a citation, and as long as it's not reckless or crazy, if I give them a citation and they don't have a history, I add the tag traffic issued warned. I write in their profile. But if they already have one, I give them a ticket. There is empathy, but there's also a lack of. Yes, I do agree. I am a harsh person. I am a stickler for the law. I'm a stickler for the charges. I'm also pushing a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't do. Like it's unless you, I feel like I have to stop what I'm doing. It feels like I can't continue doing the stuff that I do. I feel like I just have to respond to laundromats. I feel like I just have to stop doing traffic stops. I feel like I need to stop staking out Fudge Lane. That's what it feels like I have to do.
No one's telling you to stop staking out Fudge Lane. When have any of us said that?
The problem is, if I go there, I'm going to be seen as Croc is antagonizing Fudge Lane. If I pull people over...
No one has accused you of antagonizing them for getting pictures.
Didn't we just say Marlo was upset that I was over there?
That's what Marlo said.
Yeah, so Marlo's upset, and he went and told you guys.
Did I bring that up in any of the questions I asked you?
Yeah, you said, did Marlo say this?
Marlo said, no, Marlo said nothing about Fudge Lane in his complaint.
Well, I can just see it now.
I don't care if someone is, my opinion, look, if you're doing detective work or investigative work and you're doing it in a safe way that's responsible, I don't really give a fuck if the people you're investigating are pissed off about that because you're just doing your job. I don't think anybody's accusing you of like, it's Croc, you do your job as in like you do the necessary things to charge someone, but your attitude and the way you go about it at times clashes with like the way other officers do things, and it leaves a sour taste in people's mouths that you have interactions with, and that's why I think we get complaints. No one's saying you're doing your job wrong, but you, like you said, you can be a very intense person, and I think the way you go about things at times is like too... I don't know if too much is the right word. I'm trying to think of the right word.
Look,
you get lost in the sauce sometimes, Croc.
I get that, right? But like I said, you're never going to hear the good reports. I just had Tony Corleone saying you're one of the best officers I've had. Literally, you're never going to hear the good.
I've seen you do the good.
Yeah, so look, there's a little bit of bad. Okay, there's a little bit of spice in the sauce, and I do get lost in the sauce.
But there's more bad coming out of you and more complaints than literally any other officer by a mile.
Because like, I do more than any other officer by a mile. I'm naturally go and I stick up. I'm a stickler, right? I go and I fucking find people, and I'm proactive. A lot of the people on this force, they're ping chasers. They sit at Legion Square, they wait for a car to go past them, and then they don't chase them 90% of the time. Literally, no offense. I love every person here. I've done more reports than the chief of police this month as he has done in 8 months. Naturally, I'm just going to be catching more people. You're going to naturally be hearing more people getting upset because I'm naturally more proactive than a lot of officers here. I try and respond to everything that I possibly can, but I genuinely mean it when I say I naturally am doing more than so many officers here on this force. You're going to naturally hear more complaints about me. There's just more reports.
I don't think it has to do with the volume of the reports you make, Croc.
If I made 50%, if I'd only done 15 reports...
Croc, when I rode with you, when I was in the car with you, riding with you, you did not get a single complaint. Ever. When we were riding together.
These complaints have been coming in the past 3 days, particularly from two groups of people.
More than... I agree with that, and that's why, obviously, I wanted your side, and I don't necessarily think all those complaints hold, like a crazy amount of water. But what I'm saying is, when I was riding with you a lot, when you started coming around again, you did not get a single complaint. When you're on your own, you have gotten a complaint almost every single day.
Because no one's there to back me up. Because when I'm alone...
You mean reel you in?
No, reel me in? No one can validate my story. People... I ride alone, right? A lot. I like being alone because I hate waiting on people, right? I go after people. I find them. I do my thing. There's no one to back up my story. When I mean back me up, I don't mean to help arrest them. I mean to validate what I've done. Because, Loki, you've ridden with me. You've seen I'm doing nothing wrong. You don't ride with me, and now you're getting all these complaints that I'm doing something wrong. I'm not changing who I am for anyone. I've done exactly the same thing with you, Loki, as I do with everyone else. Maybe I've become more aggressive recently because I'm trying to get bigger charges and trying to investigate bigger people. Hence why I'm doing the Hades stuff. But ultimately... I'm doing the exact same stuff. And again, most days I don't have any issues with people, and then one day it'll be like everything all at once, and then we have a big problem.
All right, speaking of problems,
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, do you have a problem with like PD as a whole, with command or anything like that?
Do I have a problem with PD as a command?
PD or command, like as a whole.
I think using the word problem is very strong. I would say yes, but at the same time, hear me out. I critique the PD for its benefit, right? I've seen a lot of PD do great shit, and I praise officers. You'll sometimes hear me on the radio saying, "Yo, good shit, keep it up." And sometimes I'll see dumb shit. Like I saw that officer just go after those 4 BCSO cars by themselves, and I told him to back out, and then he immediately went down when he didn't. You know, sometimes I see dumb shit, and there have been some times where members of command or just normal ranking officers have made some fatal mistakes. You know, I remember the Sparrow Standard. I remember telling Decker specifically and officers involved, hey, this is going to turn into a lawsuit because we've detained him then brought him down to MRPD when we're unable to. And I got told, no, you're wrong. Went to court, Sparrow Standard. And, you know, it's incidences like that where I do get frustrated. And I feel like some members of command, I feel like there's a difference between two things. I feel like there's a difference between being a... What the fuck, Rami? Okay. I feel like there's a difference between a leader and a boss. A leader will be on the front lines and lead by example. A boss will sit in his office, read reports, watch from the sidelines, and yell at people. I feel like, unfortunately, there are a few leaders in command, but there are many more bosses. There are a few leaders in command. I think McNulty is a great leader. He leads by example. But I feel like there are some people here who don't, and they lead as a boss structure. And I feel like they're not a good fit for command. Those are the problems I do have, because I want to see the PD strive. I want leaders. Understandably, some people are going to naturally be more of a leader than others. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people are great at following orders. Some people are great at dishing them out. There's nothing wrong with being one better than the other, but I feel like, you know, like myself, who prioritizes, you know, petty crimes over some officers who may prioritize cash exchanges or street racing or, you know, investigative stuff or whatever they may prefer. Everyone's got their choice, right? And that's fine. And I feel like sometimes high command or just other officers may prioritize something else that I don't agree with, but it's the same thing, right, with me. You know, people may not agree that what I patrol, and that's fine. But it's mainly that boss structure and that leadership structure that I talk about. And I feel like there's more leaders. There's more bosses than leaders in those leadership roles. That's my personal view.
Okay, have you ever had any yelling matches with lawyers down the cells?
No. I've had lawyers accuse me of yelling.
Okay, what about you and Roman? I was literally there for this one, Croc.
I don't really remember.
You and Roman were in like a fucking 10-minute screaming match about masks.
We were screaming at each other. I'll take blame for that. Damn me if you want. Yeah, we were screaming at each other.
What was the issue with the mask?
Is that the clown Twinkles mask thing?
It was about,
you know about that one,
yeah, I'm getting sued for it now. They're upset that I removed the mask from someone I was trying to identify because I wouldn't believe his plastic mask was his biological face. And the lawyer started saying, why'd you take his mask off at the traffic stop? I'm like, so I can identify him. And he started yelling at me, lecturing me that the clowns have made a deal with police, and therefore that means, you know, they're allowed to wear their mask as their face. I'm like, okay, where does it say that? I looked everywhere. I'm like, give me a name, give me a report, give me an announcement, give me an officer's name that can back up this story in any capacity. I'm like, please, I will honor it if you can show any evidence of this agreement. Because if not, then anyone could just say, oh yeah, PD agreed that I'm allowed to wear PD outfits, specifically me. Like, there's nothing in their profile. There's nothing in legislation. There's nothing in high command announcements. There's nothing in the reports. There's no officer's name to rely upon. There's no officers that they get referred to. As far as I'm aware, it's a lie. I was treating them just like any other person. They come to the cells, they take off their mask. And he
But if
was
someone
getting upset
isn't
at that.
comfortable with their face being shown, Croc, and you're not gaining absolutely anything at all from forcing them to keep their mask off, why do that?
What do you mean comfortable?
Twinkles clearly doesn't like anybody seeing his face at all. It's
Well-
very clear.
Well,
He literally will do anything possible to not take his mask off.
too bad? I don't know what you want me to say.
That's
to
not
that.
the right attitude to have. Like, why does too bad have to be the
We're
answer?
cops.
I get you can
We're
do
police
it.
officers.
We're also people.
No, we're robots.
No, we are. We're people. No, we're not robots,
We're
Croc.
cops. We're literally cops. If you don't want cops taking off your mask so you can be identified, stop doing crime.
He was already identified, Croc. You had him in the cells.
He was screaming. I had to put him in the mute room so he would shut up. Literally, we are police officers. We're not here to comfort you. Okay, if you're uncomfortable.
Well, why antagonize someone like that?
I'm not. I literally am trying to explain to him. Literally, like, hey, brother, we're just trying to take